Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming tonight to the Sunday feast. You can now all turn, and we're going to start. Tonight's schedule will be a little different. We're going to start with a fire yajna. We have visiting us Dhruva Prabhu, and so he'll speak. He's going to start with a fire yajna, and then he'll also give a talk around 6:30, but he'll explain things as he goes.
Jai Narasimhadeva. If everybody can come really close, like, yeah. If you're young, you don't have to sit in the chairs, but closer. Yeah. Please come close, everybody. We don't bite. All you guys in the back are so far. Yeah, come on. Poquito más. So we're going to do this amazing Narasimha fire sacrifice, which is going to help cleanse us and protect us. Also come closer. You guys are still too far away. Where's Prabhuji? Would you like to come? Yeah, but you can sit on a chair, but come close. Okay. Where's your mom, Shay? You can come close. Close and personal. That's the way we like it, yeah. Yes, even more, I don't mind. So, most of you are familiar with fire rituals or sacrifices, they call it, which sounds a little bit spooky. Sacrifice. So in India they say bod khatarnak, dangerous. But this particular fire sacrifice, Narasimha yajna, is considered the most potent of all the fire sacrifices by the great saints of India, like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya. So they perform the Narasimha yajna to remove envy, jealousy, fear, and pride. And these are the diseases plaguing our world right now, besides cancer and all that. But now psychologists and health experts are saying, because of envy, jealousy, pride, these diseases are coming, like cancer and so many things. So Narasimhadeva particularly removes this. Okay. And we're going to pass out grains to everybody. When we say swaha, please offer them into the fire. Just throw it. And the fire is an open portal to the divine. So it's not just a thing where we're here to hang out and talk. So when we're saying swaha and chanting these amazing mantras, when you say swaha, it basically is saying, please fulfill my wish, O Lord. So when you're throwing the grain into the fire, actually we'll fill them up first. Yeah. And please concentrate on your wish. I don't know what your wish is. Some might pray for a new Tesla or whatever. But generally, in the realm of bhakti, or love of Godhead, we want to pray for cleansing our negative habits, so to become more pure, and also to have a balanced spiritual and material success, so we can somewhat peacefully practice our spiritual life. So I think that's, yeah, maybe we can just start. Can I have those, please? Thank you. And yeah, just start filling them up. Is that all? You have any more bowls? All right, let's fill up the bowls. And I'll explain to you some of the mantras I'm chanting. So who here is familiar with Lord Shiva? Right? Yeah, he's amazing. Now, often he's misrepresented. They worship him as God. They say he is this. But actually, it goes against his own nature. Shiva, he'll never say he is Bhagwan, or he is God. But he'll constantly praise Bhagwan. He's constantly sitting in Mount Kailash doing Hari Katha, not Shiva Katha. And one of his favorite incarnations of the Lord is Narasimha. And one of the most beautiful mantras which Lord Shiva, Shankara, chanted is called the Mantra Rajapada Stotram to Lord Shiva. And the beginning of this stotra is the mantra we all know, Ugram Viram Maham Vishnam Jwalantam Sarvatomukam Narasimham Vishnam Badram Mrityom Mrityum Namamyam. So he brings, Shankara is explaining, Lord Narasimha, you bring fear into the heart of Yama, death, Only you can do this. So, and then he goes on saying things like, just by thinking of your name, Narasimha, all the Rakshasas, Yakshas, and ghosts and goblins run away in fear. So, yeah, just keep passing them. Che, you can just keep chucking them along. Who here knows Lord Ram? Obviously. He's the next incarnation after Lord Narasimha. So he also went to Lord Narasimha's manifestation place called Ahobilam. And there he chanted many mantras, and one of them is called the Rana Vimochana Narasimha Stotra. So this is very special, especially for those who are married or those who have a material career. Because Lord Ram is saying, Narasimha, please remove the debts of your devotees. Now this doesn't mean like I owe you $10, this type of debt. This is karmic debt, which is from your parents, which is being passed on to you, and which will be passed on to your kids. You want to come closer, Balaram? Yeah, you can bring a chair so you're comfortable. Everybody's so far away. I'm so used to. And then, who here knows about Vedavyas Maharishi? Yeah, Vedavyas. He's like the #1 guru, you know, or life coach, whatever you are. He's amazing. So his prayer to Narasimha is extremely potent. Where's Shankar? He's gone. Okay, no problem. And then everybody knows what Tantra is, right? Tantra. In the West, there's a very perverted idea of Tantra. Oh, Tantra. This will make me very happy. But does anyone know the base or foundation or who is the god of Tantra? Narasimha. So a lot of mantra comes from Tantra. And in the olden days, we weren't supposed to hear a lot of these Vedic mantras. They were murmured. But because of the great acharyas, Madhva Ramanuja Shankara, and God himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a lot of these Vedic mantras, we can chant them now. So the foundation of Tantra is Om Shrom. And Shrom is Narasimha. It's his essence. It's like saying, oh Father, please come to me. Like calling your father, hey Pita, or Appa, whatever language you speak. Please come to my welfare and protect me. So you'll see some saints or yogis in India, they'll just chant Om Shrom, like thousands, hundreds and thousands of times, over and over, you know, because they believe that's his essence. And then they'll do tapasya. So Prahlad Maharaj said, without tapasya, that's the only way that Narasimha will actually come directly to you. It'll attract him through tapa. So, and in the age of Kali Yuga, tapasya is grihastha ashram. So grihasthas have a bit of an easy, they're already doing tapasya. So for them, worshipping Narasimha is extremely important. So the only thing I'm missing is a match, a lighter. Oh, thank you. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And then Madhvacharya, for those who are familiar, we're Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Madhvacharya is very special to us. He chanted a few prayers to Narasimha, but the most potent one is where he focuses on Narasimha's nails. He only talks about his nails, how these nails remove unwanted things, anarthas. Again, envy, jealousy, pride, and fear. Fear is such a delusional thing, right? I say it all the time. Danger is real, but not fear. Like, I can say, oh my God, what if the roof tile falls and kills me right now? This is fear. Thank you. But danger is saying, oh, something is loose. Be careful if you sit under there. It might fall and you'll get hurt. So we have a lot of fear in this world, right? So worshippers of Narasimha become fearless, like Prahlad and many others. So through the fire sacrifice, we pray for fearlessness, remover of envy, jealousy, and pride. In Hindi, they say abhiman. Abhiman. So not ego, but pride. That's the pride cometh before the fall, right? Like Hiranyakashipu, he was the most amazing human. We often refer to him as a demon, but I mean, come on, he was the ruler of the universe. Clearly, he was a good bad guy, or a bad good guy. And then who did Narasimha touch first before the kid? Hiranyakashipu. So I'd be a Hiranyakashipu if God would touch me, right? And then, of course, he touched Prahalad. Narasimha is so much ras and bhav. Like, sometimes they say he's Vaikuntha bhav, but generally Vaikuntha bhav, Narayan doesn't take you and put you on his lap and then hug you and cry and kiss you. So this is a lot of bhav, fatherly bhav. So this is what we want. And yeah, and then all the devatas all got his darshan. So sometimes we say, don't worship the demigods. But I see them as his greatest devotees because they saw him. So if they get to see him, I can ask them if they can kind of take me to him. Surya, Chandra, Indra, Varuna, all these demigods. Okay, enough blabbing, let's get to it. Can you guys move a little closer? Like, more? You can sit in here. Oh yeah, how does this? This is like an alien lighter. Whoa. Okay. So again, when you offer these grains, just a tiny bit so you have enough for the end. Don't go all in. The main thing is no talking, please. Everything can wait. It's only going to be maybe 12, 15 minutes. And really focus on your prayers. I can pray for you through the Havan, but you only know your situation. And it's not material to pray for material things because we're not grihamedis or karmakandis. We're trying to practice bhakti. So if you need help, pray. It's an open portal. And when I say swaha, when you say swaha, don't do the swaha, like it's like, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, when we want something material, we'll demand it and we'll be so loud. But then when it comes to spiritual stuff, be very loud because he's our father and we want his attention. So say it loudly. Swaha, please accept this offering and please fulfill my desires. And thank you for, Balaram, for letting me come here. It's been quite a few years since I've been here. Well, no, I was here. I delivered something a year ago, maybe. But I've always loved this temple because it has a good vibe. It reminds me of growing up in ISKCON. And it hasn't become too polluted with the corporate stuff yet. It's very just, yeah. No, I think you guys are doing good. You had some good, you're lucky. Even though you're in one of the most sought-after places in the whole country, you know, this San Diego is so amazing. It's still like so cool and old school. Yeah, so thank you all for having me, and may Lord Narasimhadeva bless and protect you all. Just got back from India a couple of days ago, so my brain's a bit a little jet-lagged. So. Here, you can have that. Just dump that in there. Oh, can I have that? We need him, the Didi. Yeah, the wooden one, please. Just that table. Don't worry, it won't bite. And we can put it. Just. Oh yes. Put the table here. Yeah, put it right there. Yes. Lean him against it. Put him against the table. Hold on. Hold him. Yeah. So this deity is called Chakra Narasimha or Sudarshan Narasimha. I'll tell you the story after. Pass that to Dhruva Prabhu. This one is for you. So we can offer it to Narasimha, your deities. and then hand it back to me. And obviously Srila Prabhupada, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know anything about Narasimha. Pretty loud, so I don't need this for that. So remember the swaha. Close our eyes, everybody, and we'll do 3 ohms. Bring ourselves to this sacred, beautiful place. Deep breath. All right, we're missing the ghee. So let me fill you in so I don't have to talk during the homa. So Sudarshan Narasimha, or Chakra Narasimha, Sudarshan was a little bit sad. Why you didn't use me, Bhagwan, to kill Hiranyakashipu? I am your divine weapon. And then obviously the Lord had to follow the protocols, and he used his nails. So then to prove his love for Sudarshan, who was a great devotee, he said, but now I will show you my love to you. I will only hold you. You are my main weapon. So you see his hands, only Sudarshan. Sometimes they have 32 hands, 108 hands. And in all the temples in South India, you'll see Sudarshan is in the front, and then behind is Narasimha. So Narasimha said, before they can come to me, they have to first honor you, and then me. Because the Lord's devotee is always, the Lord gives so much pleasure to see his devotee honored. Oh, thank you so much. Dump it all on. Awesome. Can't believe it. All right. All right, we're back on. Lakshmi Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Bhargava Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Chakravarta Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Yogananda Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Karanja Rama Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Hobla Ugra Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Krodha Varaha Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Stanu Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Veera Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Jwalamukhi Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Raktakunda Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Ugrastamba Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Om Shri Bhavana Lakshmi Narasimhaya Namaha Swaha. Swaha. Remember to heat a little bit so you don't run out. Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Swaha. 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 Om Vadranakaya Vidmahe Tikshanadan Strayadamitrona Narasimha Prachodyat 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 Swaha. So now we're going to do this mantra that Vedavyas Maharishi chanted to Narasimha. This is very powerful because in the end he says, anything, just hearing this mantra, what to speak of reciting it, all your desires will be fulfilled. Now he could have said, only your spiritual desires, right? I mean, why not? He was a pure devotee. But he said, all of your desires. So obviously, like I said, we don't pray for material stuff, but really put your essence in here, in the swaha when you're offering. Hari Om. Asya Shri Narasimhadeva Sanamastotra Mahamantrasya Vedavyas Bhagavan Rishihi Anustup Chandana Lakshmi Narasimhadevata Shri Narasimha Pritiyarte Jape Viniyogaya. Om Pratamam tu Mahajwala Dvitiyam to Grikeshri Swaha. Tritiyam Vadradam Shasya Chaturam tu Visharana Swaha. Panchamam Narasimhasya Shasya Kashyaparamam Nara Swaha. Saptamo Yattu Hante Hachastamo Deva Vallabha Swaha. Navamam Prahalada Varadodasamo Nantahastaka Swaha. Ekaraso Maharudro Dvaraso Dharnastada Swaha. Dvarastyaityani Namani Narasimhasya Mahamantmana Swaha. Mantra Raja iti Jnata Sarva Papa Vinashanam Swaha. Kashyapashmara Kushtadi Tapajwara Nivaranam Swaha. Rajadvare Mahagore Sangrame Chajalantare Swaha. Girijwara Arane Vyagra Choramayadishu Swaha. Ranecha Marane Chaiva Samaram Paramam Subham Swaha. Satmavartyate Astu Muchante Vyari Bandanat Swaha. Avyartyatna Shastram Tu Labate Vanchitam Palam Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastera Virabhava Vadranaka Vadradangstra Kamasya Marandaya Randaya Tamograsya Grasya Om Swaha. Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhushitam Om Shrom Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastera Virabhava Vadranaka Vadradangstra Kamasya Marandaya Randaya Tamograsya Grasya Om Swaha. Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhushitam Om Shrom Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastera Virabhava Vadranaka Vadradangstra Kamasya Marandaya Randaya Tamograsya Grasya Om Swaha. Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhushitam Om Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim
Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha. Om Hrim Shrom Swaha.
So the next one is this mantra that Lord Ram chanted. Now for all the Ram lovers, which we are, the upholder of Dharma he was, this is very special, the remover of all our karmic debts. This is one of my favorite mantras. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. All right. Jai Narasimhadeva. Any more ghee? Come. Yeah, enough. Sit. Sit. All right, come. Oh, yeah. All right. Hari Om. Devata Karya Siddhartam Savasamba Samudvavam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Om Lakshmiya Lingita Vamangyam Bhaktanam Vardayakayam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Om Ahantramala Dharanam Shankha Chakrabajividharanim Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Smaranat Sarva Papagyam Kadroja Vishanachanam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Simmanande Namahatat Diktanti Bayanashanam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Om Prahlada Varadam Sheshyam Daitishvarya Vidharanam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Om Kroragrahi Abhiditanam Bhaktanam Abhyayapradam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Veda Vedanta Jagyesham Brahma Rudra Divanditam Shri Narasimha Mahaviram Namamiru Namukte Swaha. Om Ya Idam Pahate Nityam Runamochana Samagnitam Arune Jayate Sadyodhyanam Shri Grama Vyapniyat Swaha. Shri Rama Narasimha Namah Swaha. Shri Rama Narasimha Namah Swaha. Shri Karanja Rama Narasimha Namah Swaha. Shri Rama Narasimha Namah Swaha. Shri Rama Narasimha Namah Swaha. Now, Lord Shiva's mantra, one of my favorites. Everybody, so no talking, we're almost done. But Baba, baat karo ne, Baba baat karo ne, baad mein. So this one is very special. Lord Shiva says, just thinking of your name, Narasimha, not even speaking it. All of Shiva's people, the ghosts, the goblins, Pishchilas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, they run away in fear, just thinking of your name, Narasimha. So remember, this mantra starts off with the Ugram Viramaham Vishnam. Hari Om Ugram Viramaham Vishnam Jwalantam Sarvatomukam Narasimham Vishanam Bhadram Nityom Nityam Namamyam Swaha. Om Pritottapula Vishalaksham Vipakshaksha Dekshitam Neenadastrastra Vishwadam Vishnu Ugram Namamyam Swaha. Sarvyarvyadyatmatam Praptam Savalogam Dideshtutam Nakagrai Shakale Chakre Yastam Viram Namamyam Swaha. Haravastapatabatalam Moradvishtatri Vishtapam Bhuja Pravishtasthadishtanam Mahavishnum Namamyam Swaha. Jyotim Sakindriyu Nakshastra Jwalindriyu Kramat Jwalanti Tejas Yasyastvam Jwalantam Namamyam Swaha. Sarvindriyairapi Vina Sarvam Sarvatra Sarvada Janati Yo Namamyadyam Tamaham Sarvatomukam Swaha. Naravat Simha Vachaiva Rupam Yasya Mahatmana Mahasatam Mahadamstram Tam Narasimham Namamyam Swaha. Ya Namasmaranadvita Bhuta Vita Larakshashaha Rogadyascha Pranashyanti Bhishanam Tam Namamyam Swaha.
सर्वोपियं समस्त्रिय सकलं भद्रमस्नुते श्रिय च भद्रया जुष्टो यस्तं भद्रं नमाम्यहं स्वाहा साक्षात् स्वकले संप्रप्तं शत्रुं शत्रुगणानपि भक्तनं नस्तिते यस्तु मृत्युं नमाम्यहं स्वाहा नमस्कारात्मकं यस्मै विद्यात्मनः निवेदनं त्यक्त दुःखो किलङ्कामम् अस्तुते तां नमाम्यहं स्वाहा ध्यानभूतस्पदः सर्वे ह्यात्मनः परमात्मनः अतो हमपि तेजस्य पितिमत्वा नमाम्यहं स्वाहा शङ्करनेन्द्रनाथ प्रोक्तं परमं तत्त्वमुत्तमं त्रिसन्ध्यं यः पठेत् तस्य विद्ययो शिष्टभारते स्वाहा श्रीरुद्र नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा श्रीरुद्र नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा श्रीरुद्र नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा श्रीरुद्र नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री चिंतामणि लक्ष्मी नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री ज्योति नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री केवल नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री कानक नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री गिरिजा नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री केवल नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री राम नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री योग भोग लक्ष्मी नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा ओम श्री योग भोग लक्ष्मी नरसिंहाय नमः स्वाहा हरि ओम ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा ओम महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे नारसिंह पत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा.
So now we're going to chant this mantra 9 times. Om Shrom, and then Swaha, okay? You can chant it with me, okay?
Ready? Om Shrom Swaha, 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 Om Shrom Swaha. Om Narayanaaya च विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा. Om Narayanaaya च विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा. Om Narayanaaya च विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा. Om Narayanaaya च विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह प्रचोदयात् स्वाहा. Om
We'll just do his 9 names, or 10. In the Vedas, it says there's 74 forms of Narasimha, but in Ahobilam there's 9. So we'll do these 9 names, and then we'll stand up for Purnahuti.
Om Shri Lakshmi Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Bhargava Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Chatravat Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Yogananda Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Karanja Rama Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Ahobala Ugra Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Krodha Varaha Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Mohalo Lakshmi Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Stanu Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Veera Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Jwalamukhi Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Raktakunda Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Ugrastamba Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Pavana Lakshmi Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Nava Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Om Shri Nava Narasimhaye Namah Swaha. Everybody can, well, some of you are already standing, but we can stand up. Oh, yeah. Because it'll because the fire's so everybody, so we're not done yet. But can you guys talk back then? Can you guys talk back then? We're not done yet, so please come close. So this is the last mantra that Lord Ram chanted while he was in a Hobaram. Most of us will be familiar with it. So after I'm done chanting the third time, you'll hear me say Swaha. Don't put the stuff on the fire, put it around, please. And then we can circumambulate. Maybe Paruji can do one Narasimha prayers. And then we'll talk after. I'll tell you guys some cool Narasimha stories. So now is the chance to put your final prayers in to Narasimha. May he remove our, again, envy, jealousy, fear, pride. Om Govinda Keshava Janardana Vasudeva Vishvesha Vishvamarusudana Vishvarupa Shri Padmanabha Purushottama Pushkaraksha Narayana Ajuta Narasimha Namostate Om Pat Sat Hrim Shrom Om Govinda Keshava Janardana Vasudeva Vishvesha Vishvamadusudana Vishvarupa Shri Padmanabha Purushottama Pushkaraksha Narayana Ajuta Narasimha Namostate Om Pat Sat Hrim Shrom Om Govinda Keshava Janardana Vasudeva Vishvesha Vishvamadusudana Vishvarupa Shri Padmanabha Purushottama Pushkaraksha Narayana Ajuta Narasimha Namostate Swaha. Oh, not around the fire. You didn't listen. Somebody want to lead Narasimha prayers? And they can circumambulate? Okay. We can just go around 3 times and everybody can sit after.
Around the fire? I don't know how we're going to do that. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Balada Hiranyakashipo Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Hito Nrisingha Parato Nrisingo Yato Yamitato Nrisingha Mahe Nrisingo Ridnaye Nrisingo Nrisinghamading Sharanang Prapadye Tavakara Kamalavare Naka Adhuta Shringam Andalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavandrita Narahare Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Vakara Kamala Vare Ka Ambuka Shringa Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamambuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanam Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabakara Kamalambare Nakamanuta Singha, Balika Hiranyakashipu Kanabringa, Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabakara Kamalabare Nakamaduta Singha, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Kanabringa, Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabakara Kamala.
People can start sitting down now. People can start getting mats and sitting again. Dhruva will now start giving a talk.
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabakara Kamalabare Nakamaduta Singha, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Kanabringa, Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabakara Kamalabare Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Narasimhadev, Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev. Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Bhagavan ki jai, Go Premanande.
So everyone can get a mat or take a chair again. And again, gather around because Dhruva will now give his talk.
Well, thank you. Jai Narasimhadeva. Who wants to hear some really adventurous, cool stories about Narasimha? Yeah, that one. You can just... Jai Narasimhadeva. Also, the kids, you might get scared because there's like tigers and lions. I don't know. Maybe you should go home. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Tell me, is everybody ready? Oh, thank you. Thank you, bro. Jai Narasimhadeva. So, yeah, you can put it in the fire. When you guys tell me when you're ready. because I only have a few minutes to talk. And I have to fit everything in. So when I was a young kid, I was born in this Hare Krishna movement, and which is a blessing. And because I'm quite old now, and there was like some good old days growing up. And one of the main things growing up in the movement is we had this love for Narasimha, because it was told to us when we were kids that this boy who was a kid was protected by God. And then also Krishna was a kid playing with the gopis and the gopas. But for me, Narasimha was very relatable, because I thought, well, wait, if he'll come and protect this kid, then I want him to come and protect me. So when I was like 4, I got this nice deity of Narasimha, and my father and a couple of the gurus or swamis, which are like my uncles, people like Radhanath Swami, so many, Shivaram. So they said, so this is your father. Keep him with you always. And it was a small deity that they say Prabhupada installed in New Vrindavan. So I said, oh, okay. So I had my school backpack, my Gurukul backpack. So I put him in my backpack. Take him with me everywhere. And I had like a horse, so he would like ride on the horse with me. And like a wagon. Remember those flyer red wagons? I carry. And then people will say, why do you have the deity there? And I said, well, my father told me he's my father. I should take him everywhere with me, and he'll protect me. So that was what I remember when I was a kid. He is your divine protector. So God is our divine protector, right? Why would he not be? Our divine father, right? So in 1985, I believe it was, no, my 5th year, 1986, they installed this gigantic deity of Shanti Narasimha, or Yoga Narasimha, in West Virginia. So that kind of cemented my addiction to him. And addiction's a little heavy word these days. But for me, this word was very positive. And they brought this gigantic deity through the doors, and there was so many, I don't know how many thousand Hare Krishnas were there. And they were all screaming, Narasimha, and they were crying. The atmosphere was beyond this world. And when they put the idol on the altar, and he was there, I did the first puja. And I was a little boy, the same size as the Prahlad deity. So back in those days, you could do this when you were a kid growing up in the movement. You had a very personal relationship with God. We could just go on the altars. It was very easy. So when I kept, growing, 8, 9, 10, 11, I was always anti-rules, and still am. I mean, I follow the rules, but I don't. And, everyone was like, oh, you have to go to school. And I was like, school? Forget school. I didn't want to be a doctor or psychologist, something useful. So I was like, what am I going to do in school? So luckily I was homeschooled, so I could do all this stuff very quickly. And I told my father and mother, listen, you got 5 other kids, they can do that stuff. But I was more adventurous, entrepreneurial. And in ISKCON, they didn't teach us that Ahobilam in India, central India, in the jungles, that is the place where this divine incarnation of God, Narasimha, the half-man, half-lion, came out of this pillar. They call it Stambhadri. He was birthed from the pillar. And I had no clue. I was this 15, 16-year-old kid. And I was in Miami doing an entrepreneur, doing things that weren't straight out of Gurukul. I ended up modeling, so I had a lot of money. And I was at this temple, ISKCON temple in Miami, one of my favorites. And I used to sweep and clean the floors at night when everything is closed. Nobody's around, because I want my seva to be private. It's my thing. So one day, a bunch of my model friends wanted to come to the temple, because I always told them I'm going to a party. And they were always trying to get me to go to their parties. And I wasn't really a partier. So they convinced me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to a real party. And girls in parties, they were like, well, you got to take us. So they ended up coming, and the Swami there at the time, Keshava Swami, was very open, liberal, cool guy. So I had all these models, and they were so awestruck by his kirtan and the deities and the temple. they ended up cleaning the floor with me. And then Keshava Swami said, "Can you clean the library? I'm old." I said, "Of course." And I found this book. It fell on the ground and it opened up and it said, 9 temples of Narasimha in the jungles. Narasimha's abode. So I was like a 15-year-old going on 16. And I was like, what? WTF? What? What do you mean? And all my friends were like, what are you looking at? I was like, I think this is where my God manifests. They were like, you mean the man lion? I was like, yeah. They were like, you gotta go. So all my friends were going and, planning their college careers and, when they're going to get married and blah, 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 all that responsible stuff. And I was like, anti-responsibility or conventional responsibility. So once I learned Narasimha would manifest in India, I said, I got to get out of here. And my parents were like, you ain't going nowhere, boy. And I never listened to them or anybody. So I managed to, through friends, get to India as like a 16-year-old teenager. And I ended up in the jungles south of Hyderabad at this place. Nobody spoke English. And it was like an adventure of a lifetime. There was tigers. I ended up climbing up a tree, hiding from a tiger. It was very wild. And because I was so young and American, like, I'm going to do what I want, they told me don't go, so that means go. And I ended up sleeping in the jungle at this temple, Pavana Narasimha, where like they offer, the tribals, they worship Narasimha, and the only thing they can offer is meat. So I didn't know that. So all these bears come around at night. It was very wild. So I survived that, and I became like addicted. And I was like, wait, there's got to be more. See, when you're addicted to something, you want more. Now the difference is with the material addiction is it kind of goes up, and then it goes down. But my high never went down. It never dropped. It just kept getting higher. This spiritual kind of, essence. And because I kind of managed to slip away from material responsibilities, jobs, girlfriend, wife, get a house, get a car, I was able to get swept up in this Narasimha, this fatherly essence of God. And from Ahoblam, the sacred place, I was like, where's more? And in Andhra Pradesh, they had this ownership of Narasimha. They said, no, he's only here in Andhra Pradesh. I said, that's not possible. In India, there's like millions of Shiva temples, Krishna temples. So I didn't believe them, and I had a little photo of this, I don't think we have it here, the Narasimhadeva killing Hiranyakashipu. Beautiful painting that Jadharani did for Srila Prabhupada, one of my favorites. So I had this painting, and I used to say Narasimha Mandir, but in South they say Devastanam. And I would just ask random people from Andhra, they speak Telugu, Narasimha Mandir, Devastanam, and I would have a map. Back then there was no Google Maps and all this wimpy stuff we have these days. Back then it was real adventure, like Indiana Jones. You'd have to get a map, and I would sleep in the bus stations or on the bus, or just random, anywhere I could sleep. And I had very little things, possessions. I would just jump in water and bathe, and then my clothes would dry in like 10 minutes. I was like a bit of a dirty hippie, but it worked. And they would say, oh, Devastanam, and then they would point on the map. I still have all these old maps, and I'd have a Sharpie, and they would mark one here, one here. Then I would go to the bus driver, take me here. And sometimes I would be on the bus for 8 hours, sometimes for 1 hour. Sometimes in the middle of the night, the bus driver would stop, and then he would say, I'd be the last guy on the bus, he'd say, Narasimha. And I was like, but there's no lights, or Narasimha, get off my bus. And then I would see like a little light in the distance, and I'd have nothing. I'd have one of those little thumb flashlights. It was like, that was 1996. Yeah, a long time ago. And I would go, and then I would find a temple. And it'd be like midnight. And because I was white, American, but there's no rules. I would bang on the first door, and the Brahmin would be there. In India, they eat at like midnight. I didn't know that. So I was in luck. They're awake. And I'd be like, Devastanam? And sometimes they would just hand me some keys and then just send me off into the dark. And it would be a cave on top of a hill or under the ground or some wild adventure. And growing up in ISKCON, we have these beautiful Mullavas or idols. They're stunning. Look at their faces, their bodily features. It's very attractive. So I was used to that. But I'd go to these caves on top of these mountains, and there'd be a wall with just some eyes and a mouth. And I'd be like, where's the idol? What's going on here? And they would be like, Swayambhuv. And I'd be like, what? The heck is Swayambhuv? And obviously I learned it means self-manifested. God can come anywhere. So just like, for instance, if we're sitting here collectively meditating upon God and we close our eyes and we open our eyes and we have a glimpse on the wall of him or them, that wall becomes them or him. So that can be worshipped. You see? So these great sages and yogis and yoginis would have these amazing experiences, and these would become kshetras, kshetrapalis or Narasimha. It was wild for a while. I was like, God, this is so weird. Like, why are they worshiping a wall in a cave, you know? And it ended up going like this, and I disappeared for 8 months. And back then there was no WhatsApp, iPhones. There was a thing called STD. Some of the Indians here would remember. And I would try to call home, and it would go brrr, brrr, and then I would hear my father, Haribo, and then it would die. So I was like, okay, I'm never using these again. And internet, it would take an hour to dial up, and then an hour to send an email. So I was like, nope, not doing this. So I didn't realize they were worried. They thought I was kidnapped or dead. So they called like the FBI, Interpol. And I was just having a merry time in Andhra. I found about 200 plus temples in those 6 months. And then I was really hooked. And from Andhra, I asked them, what about Tamil Nadu? Any Narasimha temples in Tamil Nadu? And they said, no, Tamil Nadu is just nothing there. Just fishermen. And like, there's people, they don't know anything. The states have rivalry, just like here we have, California's the best. Those Texans, nah. Those people from Florida, so, there's state rivalry. In India is the same, but it's spiritual stuff. So they were like, no, Narasimha belongs to us. The Tamils don't have a clue. But I didn't believe them, so I ended up in Tamil Nadu after 6+ months. And I saw a sign when I got off the bus in Chennai. It said, because they're really into American stuff in India, American hot chocolate. So I was like, oh my God. Finally some Maya. Finally. This is my reward. And obviously I was used to like a good American chocolate. And this place was called Cafe Coffee Day. So I showed up in my, no top, just a kamandalu, my wooden shoes, and like, I probably looked pretty bad, but I show in there and I go right to the front of the line. One hot chocolate, it was like 5 rupees or something. And these 2 girls come walking up to me and they're like, excuse me, in perfect English, why are you here? And I was like, oh my God, you speak English? I haven't spoken English for months. They're like, of course we speak English. What do you mean? And I said, yeah, but I just came from Andhra Pradesh. Oh, they're like, yeah, those people don't speak English. But we're civilized here. So I thought I'd blow them off. Listen, girls, I just want to enjoy my hot chocolate, please. Don't ruin this moment. So I'm here searching for Narasimha. You probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about. And they go, oh, Narasimha? You should meet our Amma, our mom. I said, yeah, but just let me hang on a minute. So I got my hot chocolate. It was the most disgusting hot chocolate of my life. So they said, can you come with us? I said, but where am I going? They said, you got to meet our mom. She knows about Narasimha. I said, okay, I'll go. So I come out of the jungles, off buses. I'm so dirty. And then I'm walking outside with them, and these big guys with machine guns start coming up on the left. And I'm like, I'm going to get kidnapped by some Tamil girls and be a slave, My mind starts, and they're like, no, they're with us. And then in front of the Cafe Coffee Day, they had this Range Rover, and they had 2 security cars. They were obviously very wealthy, rich people. So they said, get in. So I go from the jungle, not much contact, and I'm sitting in the middle of 2 girls going to their house. And I show up at this big house, and they said, just go see her. She's waiting. She's expecting you. And I was like, expecting me? This is like, are you guys hippies or something? Tarot card readers? I was very kind of, doubtful of all this type of stuff. I go inside this house, and this old Amma is sitting in front of an altar of like 100, 200 Narasimhadeva deities, gold, silver. She's a tiny little Amma. And I was like, this is my dream. And she was like, oh, I've been expecting you. He told me you would come. So again, I was like, oh, sure you did. Okay, here we go. And I sat with her, and she said, stay with me. Stay with us. She said, you're here searching for Narasimha temples. I will take you to some tomorrow. And then she told me her story. Very wealthy woman, her and her husband, billionaires. And she said, I couldn't have kids. My husband was impotent. I was impotent. So I prayed to Bhagwan, why did you give me this body of a woman and you don't let me have kids? How dare you? She challenged him. What do you think you are? And Narasimha came in her dream and said, you want something, but you have done nothing for the world, spiritually or materially. You've only taken. You haven't done any tapa. So she gave up all of her, Rolex, her 5-kilo Mangala Sutra and everything. And she went to a place called Sholingar, where the Sapta Rishis meditated, and Yoga Narasimha came and gave them darshan. And Hanuman also meditated and had darshan of Yoga Narasimha. About 40 minutes from Chennai. In the month of Kartik, she took everything off, wore a simple sari, and she stayed at the bottom of the steps, and she walked up every day on her hands and knees. This billionaire woman. She was pushing 50. And she only ate what was given to her for 1 month. And at the end, she had a dream. And Narasimha said, I'll give you 2 girls, born at this nakshatra, this time. And that's when she fell pregnant. She had the 2 girls. It was like a miracle. And then these were the girls that came to Cafe Coffee Day to try to ruin my hot chocolate experience. But they were sent by Narasimha. So in the beginning, I was very, like, he is mine. I want to find him. Everybody leave me alone. But then I realized, wait a minute. Soon, like about a year after, I was like, wait a minute. It's his people. Through them, I get him. And then I kept meeting like girls, boys, old, young, middle-aged, rich people, poor people, beggars. And they're like, Narasimha, he is my father. He is my protector. Like this bhav, this essence of love that I thought I had. And I was like, I don't got nothing. These people got everything. And then she showed me around Tamil Nadu, and then I stayed for a few months, found hundreds of temples. And then the Tamils and the Keralites are real rivals, They were like, Kerala's just useless, stay away. But I went, and I showed up in Kerala, and there was a beautiful gopuram, they call it, a temple entrance. And on the top, I said, oh, I'll go in there. These Brahmins will definitely know where Narasimha is. But I noticed on the front there was a cross, like a Jesus cross. I was like, maybe it's like some scaffolding. They're doing some renovation or something, What's going on here? But it was a cross. And I go into the beautiful South Indian temple, and there's Mother Mary in a sari with a bindi and bangles and baby Jesus with a little dhoti. And I was like, what is going on here? This is, talk about Rasa Bas, or, So I get on my knees, because she's the mother. And, obviously, Jesus Christ is a very advanced soul, so we respect that. So I'm just about to pray to Mother Mary and baby Jesus. Can you help me find Narasimha? And this guy, father comes up behind me. Son, Father David, are you okay? He'd never seen like a white dude come in, half nude, with like dirty, and like, he thought maybe I was a hippie that just came down from Goa or something, one of these party places in India. I said, Father, you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but actually, I'm searching for this God, Narasimha. And he says, oh, yes, I know him. Of course. I said, you know? He said, of course, I was Hindu. I just converted. I said, oh, so do you know where some temples are? Can you show me some temples? I started going off, you know. He said, whoa, 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 hold on a minute, son. Let's first pray here in my temple, and then we'll figure out going to your temples. I said, of course. Come on down, Father. Oh, the Mother Mary, daughter in heaven. Oh, Jai! Jesus, Jai, Mother Mary, I said, and I hopped up. And he said, okay, I'll take you to some temples. So he drove in his ambassador, and he was every temple we went, he offered his pranams. He was very amazing, and he showed me 5 temples. And then after the 3rd day, he said, my son, I have to go back. I have my duties. But let me tell you something. Narasimha is still my favorite, and I pray to him for protection because he's my father. And that struck me for years, and I went back to find him years later, but he had already passed away. Same with that lady in Chennai, Yadgiri Padmanabhan. So it really kind of overwhelmed me, and then all of a sudden, then I ran out of money. And I was like, wait a second, I overstayed my visa by like 6 months. But back then you could give like 100 rupee bribe and no problem. Now it's like a 10 lakh rupee bribe. Back then you could get away with anything. And so I come back to America, and I get right back into my entrepreneurial spirit. I got to get money, 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 money. I got to get back to India. Hi, mother, father, I love you, I got to go. So I was around for like 2-3 months, and then I was gone. And then it just became like this whirlwind, you know, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, on and on and on and on, you know? And every single state worships Narasimha with such intensity, but they represent him through art, through iconography in different ways. Like the Gujaratis worship him as Krishna, non-different from Krishna, right? In Karnataka, he is the supreme Narayan, the Raksho Bhuvana, the removal of obstacles and the divine protector. In Maharashtra, they worship him as this yogic aspect they call Kevala or Chintamani Narasimha. It blew my mind. Every state I kept going. And same thing, I would collect the maps, point, end up on a bus, or I would hitchhike. I would walk for like 30, 40 kilometers, and somebody would pick me up. They thought I was like off my head or something, walking in the boiling heat in the desert. And I'd be like, I gotta go to this place. They'd be like, hop in. And there was already 20 people in the car, but we fit. Or rickshaw drive. Everybody was so helpful in my quest for Narasimha. And then I figured out a way to make money in India to keep me there. And when I went up through Gujarat, I got out of the train station and I met Deepak Patel, very common. Very unusual name in Gujarat. So Deepak's in his Ralph Lauren shorts and his nice shoes and a polo. And I'm like, with my sadhu dress on. And he's like, hey man, where are you from? And I said, I'm from America. He said, oh yeah, great country. I said, where are you from? He goes, Ahmedabad. And then he introduced himself. I said, listen man, can you help me? I'm looking for Narasimha temples in Gujarat. He said, oh, you should come home and meet my grandma. She knows everything about Gujarat. And he ended up being a big gangster, politician, awesome guy. And he had a fancy Mercedes, so he ended up driving me around Gujarat for like a week in his Mercedes. And I was very close with the Prabhupada disciple Yasomati Nandan, who was the temple president of ISKCON Ahmedabad. So I brought Deepak to meet him, and he was like, you know Deepak? I was like, I just met him at the train station. And he was like, I've been trying to get this guy for years to help with the temple and like do the code. So Deepak takes me around, and the first temple of Ahmedabad is a Narasimha temple, the oldest. It's in central Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad was founded by the clay pot makers. If you went to India before, I've never drank chai, which is, some might think it's a sin, but they used to have it in these clay pots. Now they have the plastic ones. Those were the clay pot makers. Their god was Narasimha, so their original deity is still there, a small Ugra Narasimha deity. So Deepak showed me that, and then I met this Prime Minister now, Narendra Modi, all these big shots through Deepak. And after I was done, I told Deepak, thank you, man. Can I do anything for you? And he's like, actually, can you help my daughter get to America to be with her husband? I was like, what's the problem? Just get a visa. I didn't realize it was tough. So he's like, can you sponsor her? I was like, whatever that means. So I had to go back to America anyways. I said, of course. So I end up in the American embassy with Deepak's daughter, Surya. I go to the counter. I said, look, this is my friend. We're going to America. We're going to hang out 2-3 months. Boom, 1-year visa. The lady didn't even ask me questions. So we fly back to America. She's happy. So then after I did this for Deepak, I came back and he said, what can I do for you? And I said, Deepak, I don't want to leave India. Can you make me like an Indian? And he said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Now, I didn't know what that meant, but you know. As I started getting into business later on in India, I understand that anything's possible in that country. So through him, through Narendra Modi, I became a PIO, person of Indian origin, a white dude. Now it's an OCI. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. So I didn't have to leave India. That was 97, going on to 98. Yeah, long time ago. Almost, how many years is that? 20-something years? Things were just like clicking. And then I was in Rajasthan. I met the Queen, Gayatri Devi. I'm sure some of you know. She was an amazing. So the main Ishtadev, or god of Rajasthan, is Narasimha. All the kings worship Narasimha. Not Shiva, not Krishna, not Balaji. These came much later. The god of all the Kshatriya dynasties in India, the Cholas, the Pallavas, the Vijayanagar, the Hoysalas, it goes on and on and on. Their main god was Narasimha because they're Kshatriyas. And in their dynasties, in their palaces, at the four corners of their entrances of their kingdoms was always a Narasimhadev deity. So that blew my mind when I met Gayatri Devi, who I didn't know was a big shot, the queen of Jaipur. But she would always go with me to see Govind Dev Ji, but before him, there was a private Narasimhadev temple in the palace where we would go and pray and then go see Govind Dev Ji. So I kept learning more and more and more and becoming more and more obsessed. And it was like I was like on this unstoppable freight train for years, year after year after year. And then I hit a wall, which was marriage. And it slowed me down quite a bit. I was like in a Ferrari, and then I ended up in like a Maruti Suzuki or something. Yes. And then responsibility, which I tried to avoid my whole life. I was like anti-responsibility, just smacked me in the face. And then all of a sudden I had this person saying, whoa, whoa, what do you mean you're going to India? I said, yeah, I got to go back. No, you're not going anywhere. I was like, what? But luckily, you know, as devotees, sometimes you can be with a devotee who kind of understands. And I always used to say, listen, hold on a minute. A lot of men have bad addictions. My addiction's Narasimha. Okay? TK? And then it was like, okay. It was the way I manipulated that way. And then I was able to, you know, I ended up, you know, it slowed me down, but I still was able to go and find Narasimhadev temples and do my research. Up till today, I've seen 1,470 temples. This last trip, I was just there last week, I found 4 new temples, and there's thousands more. But those early years, I turned into my first book, Narasimha, the Lost Temples. But then all those time I was traveling, I kept hearing Narasimha is the god of yoga, right? This is the second book I just finished on New Year's Day. So for years, god of yoga, yoga god. Whatever English the Brahmins would know, they would say this. And I kind of let it go through one ear and out the other. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But as I started to research, this is what he is called by Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the Sapta Rishis, Nard Rishi. All of the acharyas call him the god of yoga. And how the essence of pure yoga came from him. Not this yoga of like Indian pose or downward puppy or whatever they call that pose, all this other stuff. Where it's like I come out of yoga and I feel so good. That's not yoga. It's not about feeling. It's about detaching from feeling. The body, the senses, right? So Narasimha gave this to Prahalad, to control the chittas, the uncontrollable mind, you cannot be controlled by the senses and the body. This is pure yoga. And then from that, you can practice bhakti yoga. Because the mind is always like going crazy, right? If we sit down and we chant, we're like, Hare Krishna, oh, I got to pay that bill. So, what time is it? A couple more minutes? Yeah, couple more minutes. So this second book, what I focused on, which is pretty rad, is the devotees of Narasimha, like Lord Shiva, worship Yoga Narasimha, Ramanuja, Madhva, Shankaracharya. And then for years, Jai Shri Shri Gaunitai Shri Radhe Shama Sundar Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. For years, I was trying to get in touch with all these big institutions, like everybody's here heard of the Met Gala, the Met Museum, big museums around the world, the Louvre, so many, British Museum. And I'm not an academic, I don't have a title, right? And I was like, all these museums have his idols, and their main, most prized possession in their collection is Yoga Narasimha. So I sent them my first book, and after the past 3 years, they would all get back to me, sir, what are you doing? How can we help you? So I did a lot of collaborations with like the Met, LACMA, all these big museums in here. And they all said the same thing. On their idol's bio, it's God of Yoga. Narasimha, Yoga Narasimha, the God of Yoga. And this was written like 40, 50 years ago by their academics, right? So it's such an amazing, how do you say, realization. Because in the contemporary yoga scene, it's so watered down and kind of shallow. Oh, wait, Shiva's the God of yoga. No, Krishna, no, Kali. No, but then the women and men, it's got to be Durga, it's got to be Shakti. They're all wrong. It's Narasimha. And the first pure yogi is Bhakta Prahalad, right? Because the kid was tortured. His dad was like, I'm going to kill you. Prahalad never was fazed. Now, I don't know about you, but if my dad said he was going to kill me, I'd have a mental condition for a little while. And then after the whole thing, he saw his dad be killed. He didn't sit there and say, oh my God, poor me, hare bapare. I have to go to counseling now, I have trauma, I have anxiety. All these things that we have in this contemporary world now. This boy wasn't plagued with those because he wasn't the controller. He had no pride and ego and envy and jealousy. When Narasimha said, ask me anything, he said, can you please remove the envy and jealousy of all humanity? Now look, if God asked me, what do you want? Ask for anything. I could think of a few things I could ask for. You know what I mean? All of us, imagine, right? Oh, there's that house on Ocean Beach. I like, you know. We immediately go for the temporary. And then Narasimha said, yes, they're all delivered from this. Ask another thing. Please free my father. Okay. Can you ask for something? Please don't let me forget you. Let me always be with you. And Narasimha said, no, you have to do your duty, your svadharma. So Prahlad became married. He had kids. He had to rule his father's dynasty. And the first time in the history, the Daityas and the Danavas, the demons and the demigods, never fought because Prahlad was half demon. And then Prahlad's kid, do you know who his kid was? Vimochana. He was a demon, a Rakshasa. How's that possible? But then his kids, one was a pure devotee, one was, I think, Bali Maharaj, right? So there's no 100%, you know, just because we were born into something doesn't mean we're going to go that way. But Prahlad's a true example. He's like the ultimate first life coach. Nowadays we have all these fake fraud life coaches, you know, self-proclaimed gurus and teachers, but we already have all that. Prahlad, the Saptarishis, even in our Sampradaya, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda, it goes on and on and on. We already have all that. Their teachings are there and they're free. We ain't got to pay them or go to a workshop or pay tons of money for counseling. They have set examples for us how to behave in difficult circumstances and to how not to try to control every situation. So as I've gotten older, I really realized it's his people that I've met constantly. Even now when I was in India, I met prime ministers, big shots, billionaires, rickshaw driver, nobody's. But the love and the unbreakable faith that he is their protector is awesome. And I used to test it because being Western, we have this idea that everything should come to us and it's our right. God should come before me. So I would put myself in dangerous situations, sleeping in caves and tigers, and I would purposely try to. And nothing happened, but I wanted something, like show me, give me something. And there was many mystical experiences, and they stopped after marriage, after material responsibility, because then you become locked into the wheel of material responsibility and things get. But those foundational years from, 16 to 27 were set my path. Even though I'm human and I have desires, I have to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. And that's biology. But the envy and the jealousy and the fear and the pride are not biological. We don't need those. So worshiping Narasimha removes those from us. And often we don't want those removed. We're attached to those things, right? We justify everything. So he removed Hiranyakashipu's stuff, and we want him to remove our stuff. So I always tell people, now is the time for Narasimha, We need to worship him and clear out our own internal dirtiness and negative desires. And it's a process. I'm still going through it. I ain't humble. I'm human. But the main thing is the connection of the Divine Father. And for me, Narasimha has always been that, So unfortunately, I have to stop because we have to keep on schedule. And I went over time. Thank you, Balaram. So I have a stall here, and I have all these beautiful idols and kavachas and pendants of Narasimha, and then I have the books. All these deities have been brought to hundreds of temples throughout India and touched to the main idols and pujas done. So the essence of him is there, and you can worship deities at home. There's not hard and fast rules like in a temple. And also the book is him. There's about, I don't even know how many temples, maybe 60 plus temples in here. It's like bringing him into your home. So if anybody's interested in the book, please come see it, talk to me, touch it, and then see all the other amazing things. And I'll be here to answer any questions. Thank you, Balaram Prabhu. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you. Jai Narasimhadeva. Thank you.
Okay, since we're a little over time, we won't have more kirtan now, but we will, in a moment, I'll give a couple announcements and we'll rise and we'll get in lines for